Welcome to the next iteration of the Netrunner series, FFG's Worlds 2014 tournament. I'm Steven.
And I'm Zach.
And this is game 17 officially. We have David on the right and Tomasz on the left. David, the UK national champion.
Okay.
And Tomasz, the Polish national champion.
That is really phenomenal.
I mean, we've seen the Australian national champion and Jesse. We've seen...
second place from Gen Con.
Ironically, saw the Canadian national champion, saw the Polish now, the UK national. We ironically did not see the US national champion, Benoit. He was actually Canadian, but actually won the United States championship.
But he wasn't at the tournament, right?
He wasn't at the tournament, yeah.
That's unfortunate.
But obviously the process of finding the national champion seems to be working pretty well. Because
they seem to be okay at the game.
They are also getting into these top cuts.
How cool is it to have the UK and Polish champions in America playing at the World Championship?
It's very, very cool. And honestly, Tomasz, one of the more interesting players of this tournament for me, bringing Chaos Theory and Tenon Institute to the top 16 and now nearing in on the top 8. So non-conventional decks, different ideas about the game, and still just as competitive as everything else. Always amped to see that.
Anytime I see Chaos Theory, I'm really curious. I think you have to make a pretty strong case why to run her over Kate.
Yeah.
There's definitely reasons, but at the same time, I'm curious to see what cards are in this deck versus a Kate deck.
Yeah, it's lean, it's mean. Usually they're really fast, and a lot of times Chaos Theory...
That's good in today's Netrunner.
Going to be good, yeah.
Sweep.
Leave an R&D open against Chaos Theory. That is super tough. Could be a really bad draw here for David. I am quite impressed that he would leave R&D open like this. This is a Maker's Eye indexing, etc. away.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's got anything. He's just going to check. See a Data Raven.
Another Data Raven.
Man, I'm surprised with the number of Data Ravens we're seeing
We
here.
were on that meta, weren't we? Personal Workshop takes a Gordian Blade. All right, so we got a Personal Workshop Chaos Theory.
Personal Workshop is... When I played Chaos Theory the day before, they had Personal Workshop. Every time I see that card, I just have to look at it for a minute.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, hold on. Block of text, got it.
Man, David makes it out of that turn.
Oh, no way.
Sand Astro. Yeah, I can't believe he made it out of there unscathed with just a single R&D access. I have to think this deck has medium and Maker's Eye and indexing in it.
I mean, that's honestly like when you have a Sand and an Astro in hand, if you can just rush out the first Astro, it changes the rest of the game. So it's probably worth that risk. Knowing you've got NAPDs, knowing you got breaking news that you don't really care about. You know you have an Astro in hand, maybe two, who knows? And you put your opponent in this weird spot where they want to run the deck, but they kind of need to trash the Sand.
Quality time. And it looks like we saw a bunch of things. A modded there, a Mimic, Astrolab. Always a good call against NEH. A lot of players thinking this is a pretty hard counter, obviously, to NEH. And it is, in a way. But, it's Astrolab. It's not Desperado. It's not Grimoire. Basically, it's not Desperado. So,
man, if you have a second Astro here, this is just gold.
Well, I think David's only on 1 credit.
He can still score it, right?
I think he broke himself. He would need 2.
Advance. Use your counter.
Well, he could. You don't. Yeah.
If it's in hand, you can score it right there.
Yeah, I guess you probably would. Yeah. I guess.
2 points and another Astro counter is okay. And no real hope of trashing the Sand here unless you draw and have some like a what's the name of that stupid virus?
Imp.
Unless you draw Imp, which I don't.
The greatest card.
I wouldn't be too expecting to see here.
Tomasz looks like he's playing really just build a quick rig shaper here. He's got Stim Hack, Personal Workshop. I see Stim Hack in hand there.
Stim Hack be good with Personal Workshop.
So he might just be focused on, okay, score your points. I'm going to
set up and never let you score again.
Assemble a mass of things. SMC, Personal Workshop, Stim Hack. I mean, you're out. You get everything that you need. And there's the Mimic.
We seen a Stim Hack here? Now, can you pay to play both of those off Personal Workshop on 1 turn?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know if it was limited to 1.
No, you can drop everything off that workshop.
So Stim Hack here really does set up your entire rig.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
It seems fine.
Oh, really?
And,
setting up
now
the
we're
rig.
actually setting up the entire rig. SMC be damned here. And we'll probably wait till next turn to do that.
Interesting.
Still, Thomas is so low on money. Oh, there it is. There's the stem hack.
Why not?
Into HQ. And gets to set up the rig and probably get a free access. Don't you love that?
That's really cool. I did not see a Chaos Theory do this to me.
Yeah, well, this Chaos Theory is in
diesel,
the top.
quality time, put out your stuff, go.
Yeah.
That is very cool. And that's pretty good reason to run Chaos Theory.
Is it fast enough, is the question.
I'm going to vote yes.
A reasonable vote.
It's one of two votes. Unless you include maybe.
No one includes maybe.
No. Looking to res here, what do we got? Quandary. Seems okay.
Quandary for 1. All right, so you can bring the Gordian out and break it for 1.
You just bring all 3 out, right?
You bring all 3 out without a doubt, yeah. We'll pop an SMC. There's no rush. Gonna pay 7 for that Opus.
And you can spend it off of...
And then maybe pull 2
hack, right?
off of... Yeah, absolutely.
That's fine.
That's what he's doing.
You don't care. You're just setting up your rig.
Yeah.
And then you'll still get to take tokens off. You'll pull 2 off with the extra money you have.
Probably install like a Gordian or a Corroder here. Or maybe one off
just
each.
one off each. That's fine. Here comes
And there's the Gordian.
And then now you've got economy for days.
And the stim hack brain damage happening here. Yeah, he's not breaking the Quandary. And takes quality time. Moving back over.
Brain. All right. This is a fascinating Chaos Theory.
It's interesting, isn't it? Boy, that Sansan just sits there. That's weird, It's like... Sometimes doing this against this kind of NEH deck, you're going to be 6 points behind.
But at the end of the day, starting next turn, you've got a full rig, if you want it, and economy.
And Opus, yeah.
Like, NEH can't stop him now.
Can't stop him.
Protecting deck there, which I think is the right call.
Taking 6 and trashing the Sansan. So there we go. Starting to close the holes here.
And those breakers are just going to keep removing the counters and eventually install.
Talk about it. This is actually... I'm loving this more and more as I watch it. You can just control remotes all day and wait for your rig to set up. And there's the breaking news. So just scoring the breaking news out of hand, going to broke, leaves R&D wide open, probably a pop-up window up top. 6 credits. And a Maker's Eye.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you need.
On no money. You have the money to pop up.
Just pop up, but you still get the NAPD 4. Really solid.
Ouch. Man, this could be brutal.
Sees nothing. Sees Jackson. Sees Hedge Fund.
Okay.
All right, well, you know what's coming. You can maybe focus on HQ now. Maybe you, I don't know if we have room for legworks in this deck or not. But Gordian can easily get you in. Slices through, no troubles. Tom's considering his options.
As a runner, I always love seeing the decks that are, run and gun and go fast. Gabe, even Andy. And this is kind of a mid-level, I'm not going to run at all for the first few turns. And then you just won't be able to stop me.
Yeah, and then I'm running forever.
And I love that. It's really awesome. And really using the extra memory here from Chaos Theory really effectively. Once these install, you're gonna have your full rig with money set up.
Just a nice 5 MU rig, Opus, and all your breakers. There's the R&D interface.
Yeah.
Running HQ. And now the pressure begins. And pop up. Paying 1 for that, paying 1 for Quandary as well. Single card access. And a Scorched Earth.
Now that's a way out.
Well, that changes everything, doesn't it?
That makes that breaking news curious, too.
I love putting the interface on that workshop. And that is why you run Chaos Theory over Kate, is because you put everything on the workshop, and so that install bonus never is applicable.
That's not what you're after.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of Kate.
Really slick deck.
Workshop, right?
Really slick deck.
But it is very cool. It's a nice way of leveraging these shaper tools that Kate doesn't do. It's awesome that already in this game there are multiple ways to run these same factions.
Oh, yeah.
Like legitimate multiple ways.
Yeah, seeing David hit the Scorch there, there's yet another path that NEH can take to threaten to win the game. The question is, does he have Biotic? That's the ultimate thing you got to ask yourself.
Well, it's Biotic, but it could also be Data Raven, right? We've seen a Data Raven, and Mimic's not going to be able to break that Data Raven. I'm not sure that we have Data Suckers in here. So a Data Raven, I think, is a huge play for NBN.
I'm surprised if he's heavy on the Scorch plan. I'm surprised that he just scored out that breaking news like he did. I would tend to hold those a little bit more.
Yeah, especially with the Astro counter, right?
Yep.
Because at that point, it's install, advance, score, Scorched. If they have 3 cards or less, you just win. Ever.
There's Thomas just taking 8 there. Wow.
I mean, he's just letting those counters click off, right?
Yeah, and he has a Maker's Eye in hand. I'd be tempted to try to Maker's Eye that before he gets sealed up a bit more. Hedge fund and more credits over on David's end.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of he'd already seen cards on top of deck. So you don't necessarily want to use the Maker's Eye until you're going to see a fresh batch of all new cards.
Yeah. All right, David, taking a peek here. Where's it going? Looking to throw some ice up, either at HQ or R&D, or throw the remote. There it is. And drawing for Astrolabe.
Seems okay.
Yeah. Just feeding those stim hacks if he needs them, feeding the rig. I mean, everything's set up at this point.
All right, install and protect. Is that a pack campaign or is that a real threat?
Well, there's no reason not to check it. You know, you've got everything you could want.
Legwork.
Game 6 and legwork. And this is just a lot of money. Does he need this much money?
I think threatening that much money is the more important part. Your opponent knowing that you can get in anytime.
I think he's worried about the C source as well.
Didn't trash the Jackson.
Did not care.
Does not care. Eli. That's
All right,
okay.
Running the remote. Sees the Eli. Just pay 4. And can access a Sand probably. Yeah.
And trashing it. And there goes that money.
And is gaining 2 credits for last click. So this is kind of the shaper version of what we're seeing out of the Andy build that Elad was running. It was doing the security testing for money and then running around with Desperado. This one's doing Opus for money and then playing bigger breakers.
I love Opus, by the way. That's got to be one of the best cards in the game.
Oh, it's good. It does one thing well.
It makes money. Wish I had a personal Opus.
Trade clicks for money.
Like in real life.
R&D looks tasty here.
Yep. Need more money, though. Who knows what that ice is?
Well, it can't be too foreboding. That's the good thing about NEH is it is not that scary. There's 8 more credits, just passing tempo a bit. And David moving on it. Just waiting for an Astro to top deck.
With Maker's Eye and legwork, I think this build a rig, sit back and wait is okay.
My issue with it is that he's just an Astro draw away from having another Astro scored. So there is a point where you need to not be terribly worried about that pop-up window on top of probably some nonsense piece of ice. Could be another quandary. And make him res the ice and or see the cards every turn. You know, you've got an R&D interface ready to go. And maybe he's just waiting for that to tick off.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of being able to get the R&D interface out with the Maker's Eye and knowing you're going to be able to break, when you play that Maker's Eye, knowing you're going to be able to break that ice, whatever it is.
The thing about it to me is I want to play that Maker's Eye to lock down R&D, and then I have 3 turns to get the R&D interface off, and now I can lock it down again. And now we have it, see, it's plugged a bit more. Could have missed an opportunity there. I don't know what David ultimately drew.
Here we
Here's
go.
a Maker's Eye. Going to see 5 now. Going
so
for
many
really just kind of a
cards.
deep dig on the mind. Data Raven is an issue here.
It's fine. You can detag later. Is he
Taking
going
a
to spend his
tag.
money here on?
And here's the trace. Man,
This is it, by the way.
That puts
This is a big run.
That puts a tough decision.
If you can afford it, I say you don't give him the trace.
Yeah, doesn't do it. And
Not
pop up
resin.
and no res down there. Could be a toll booth.
Oh.
There's the Astro. Boom.
There's number 3.
And mid-season.
Number 4.
And pad campaign. Wow. Okay, so we saw mid-seasons as well. This gets troubling now.
He shook the tag and he drew.
We need, yeah. Boy, that's a bit of a pickle, isn't it? We're locked down on R&D for a while here, so I think it's money, money, money. Because mid-seasons...
You just can't let him get ahead economically.
Or you just dig for that Plascrete, man, and just say, you know what? That Data Raven's dead. That mid-seasons is dead. I'll play my Plascrete, and that's not going to help here.
Yep.
I really,
Jackson.
really wanted Thomas to trash that Jackson earlier. I think we just saw the second Scorched moving into hand.
That's really good news for David.
Astro counter with breaking news threatens at least the 3-card death. I don't think Thomas is going to go below 5 at this point.
Well, he has rain damage, so he only has 4.
Yeah, that's right. 5's as good as 4 to a Scorch player. But that does mean, Stim Hack is offline, I think, at this point.
Absolutely.
Unless it's for the game. And hey, at least if he's trucking agendas and other cards, he's not getting those Sands back in there in this sweeps week.
He also, he drew a lot of cards there. So another Maker's Eye here could potentially be
fresh.
A fresh set of cards.
What have we seen? We've seen 2 Maker's Eye, haven't we?
I think so.
We've seen 2.
Same old thing, anybody?
But you're also thinking, well, he's got mid-season. That's trouble.
R&D interface. Credits and then HQ.
4 credits and running HQ, paying 2. That's scary with mid-seasons, man. Oh, there's breaking news. Well,
That could have been the jam.
Let's see what we see here. What is he at, 11? Or no, he's at 7. 7 to 8 differential. If you have some cash, like a sweeps, there's a hedge. Oh gosh, this could be mid-seasons here.
Mid-seasons for days.
Unless he dumped it. He could have dumped mid-seasons to Jackson here. And just gaining money. Wow. I think he dumped that mid-seasons, man.
It is an arms race at this point, right?
Or he just didn't care. But I'm very curious about that. Very curious. I don't think Thomas would. Well, and then again, maybe question marks abound, man.
So what makes Netrunner awesome, right?
Yeah, because you could have done the mid-seasons. Does he just, money, tag, money, tag, before you can get money back up to Scorched Earth levels? I don't know, being at 12 credits, it looks pretty good.
We'll see.
Tough choices. And Jackson remains. He's been a defining problem in this matchup for Thomas.
That's going to be okay.
There's sweeps. David fully in control of the money game now.
And that's really what I love about the Scorched Earth path for NEH here, which is your opponent feels, once they see the options for you to scorch them, feels the need to sit at least 4 cards, if not 5, making sweeps week all the better.
It's the jam, and we'll see that in Min's personal evolution deck as well. It was splashing 3 sweeps week, because you end the turn or you start you just draw. So many turns of just getting that hand size back up. And reses the Grim. Fantastic. Ouch. That's a bad pub happening.
That's going to slow this way down. It's going to be able to trash a program.
Yeah, which one to get? This server is just nasty.
I'm going to vote on Gordian.
I think that's fair. Or Magnum.
Yeah.
There goes the Corroder. Wraparound's back online. Data Raven tag happens. And it's a trace, just leaving it trace 3. Which is interesting because you could really threaten some weird stuff by pumping that trace.
There it is.
Wraparound comes back in.
Ouch. Grim is an awesome include in this deck.
That does turn NAPD off, though, and that's important to note.
Turns it off, or it makes it more expensive?
It makes it harder. I mean, it's
That's
still
fine.
still more or less doing what it's doing, but you certainly can't sneak out the Astro counter.
That hurts right there.
There's a corroder.
I mean, the Grimm's still an issue, right? Mimic doesn't have a way to get up to
Yes.
5, and we haven't seen Dash Suckers at all. So,
I mean, how do you deal with it?
how does
That's
this
the
deck deal
question.
with it? Yeah.
And not a lot of people were playing it coming into this tournament, so it may well be. And this is the thing about Netrunner. We were talking about just various roundtables throughout the weekend. Is you can't be ready for every possible deck and every possible ice and every possible ice combination. I think Dan was the one who was saying that his deck can't break 2 Lotus Fields if they're in a row. He's got one way to deal with 1 Lotus Field.
Yep.
Can't break 2, and you just have to be okay with that. And if
I
that
mean,
happens,
there's
a FIM, and that's how you're going to deal with Grim right there.
Yep.
Probably installs over the Mimic.
100%.
And
Ooh.
just throws a Beal out. Remote's not being checked.
Yep. Brutal.
That is bold on David's end, and he feels good about that. That puts him on game point.
That could
Huge
be game
play.
winner right there. So at this point, Tomasz can get into deck, and I think he's got to. You just pay, you get in, and you got to make sure there's not an agenda sitting there.
Huge play here.
And I don't think there is an agenda sitting there. But at this point, a fast track wins, right? Fast track breaking news.
I mean, there's
No,
so
that
many
puts you at
ways to
6.
win here.
Man, the pressure is on. A 5-point with an Astro counter is a runner freaking out.
Yes. And Tomasz feeling just really 1 turn behind.
That Grim was a big play.
Very good play. And really looking, that FIM just can't come off the workshop soon enough.
You can just pay for it, right?
Where David sending that Beal out of nowhere was just
Yeah, I think 2 critical plays there by
correct.
David. Grim is obviously so much better when it is a surprise, when your opponent's
Yeah.
not expecting it.
With Mimic getting so popular, it just makes sense.
Absolutely. And then also dropping the agenda over there. It's 2 just surprise plays in a row. And that really, to me, is what Netrunner is all about.
Yes.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
You know,
Easily could have checked that 2-pointer up top.
and people watch these games. They talk about NEH. They talk about the prevalence of certain builds and certain decks. But that should never get in the way of the fact that there's a reason these particular people are playing under this camera right now. Not everyone can pick up an NEH deck. No one can pick up David's NEH deck and just be like, yeah, I'm just going to go win a tournament with this. Locally, maybe you can get by with that because it's such a strong deck and no one else is playing counters to it. But you go into a Worlds tournament, you'll get crushed with it. If you're not good at this game, if you're not good at determining that that's the play to make right there, that blind installing that Beal is what needs to happen, it won't work for you. So, definitely do not take away from these players' ability.
Tomasz running archives here, forcing the Jackson use. It looks like we may have some agendas in the yard.
I think there's more than a few agendas in the yard, yeah.
Man, that's crazy too. Like last turn, if Tomasz had checked Beal, score it.
All of a sudden, he's on point.
Well, run through Eli,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, you have to use Jackson now. If you don't, I could win on archives or run archives, force him to use Jackson. It's just a totally different game.
Ooh.
2 Sand Sands and a face down. I'm
Only
assuming
one
that's
yard
an
card
agenda.
there. And let me see if we see a mid-season.
The old yard card.
The old yard card. I'll be quite interested. Marked accounts just
For
not doing a
days.
thing. And there's the mid-seasons. Yeah, he did dump it. Don't you love it? That always happens. You dump the mid. It's like, this won't help me. And then it's like breaking news score randomly.
Yep.
Probably could have had the Scorch win by now, too. All right, and then we're running archives, it looks like. Or, I'm sorry, R&D, maybe? Gonna pull the FIM off right now, or is he just gonna take a Grim and then...
I think he's going to take the Grim because he has the Corroder. waiting.
Yeah.
He can get to that server really easily, right?
All he needs is the corroder
Yeah.
at the end here.
I think this is a fair move. You know, Grimm's gonna be able to trigger on something.
Gordon, just hard to see this rig get torn apart.
Taking a tag, leaving the trace. Bad pub and a credit to get that corroder out. Break the wraparound. That's fair play.
Yeah, little bounce. Sees a Sansan and a toll booth. All right, so we have to imagine that this could be the game.
It was an agenda.
It was an agenda.
The whole time. He had 4 points on the board.
Whoa. That should not be allowed. Because that is 3 advancements and 1 from the Astro. He needed 5 on that.
But he had the Scorch win anyway, right?
He did have the Scorch win, it looked like.
Yeah, I think that's what he's showing him. It's like
Okay.
either way. But
Okay,
he had 4 points down that could have easily been face checked by Tomasz.
And that would have won the game.
It would have won the game.
Yeah.
Phenomenal play. I
wow.
love NEH just dropping agendas and not doing anything for a few turns.
And you have to figure out what the players are doing. Is he checking remotes or not? Put it out there, test the waters, no checks. Well, then now we throw some agendas up. And if you're the runner, I'm not going to check anything for a while, then all of a sudden I check everything.
That's what I did to so many players. They install something, you don't check it. They install the second thing, you check it.
Well, guys, that was
so good.
That was pretty
Phenomenal
intense.
play, David.
Awesome to see these national champions face off. We're going to move on to the next game of our series. Catch us there for some more Netrunner action.